Welcome. Woo! Welcome to LadyRo's Queendom. Gather round, tell a friend. Oh. Everybody sing. Oh. Welcome to LadyRo's Queendom, where we nurture, cultivate, and awaken your inner queen. Clap your hands, stomp your feet. Welcome to LadyRo's Queendom.
Hello. Good evening. Oh my goodness. Please forgive me for being tardy for the party. But we're going to get into it. Give me 1 second. I just finished with the last little bit of my notes. And baby, when I tell you word is not acting right today for nothing. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's do it. My name is LadyRo, and welcome to LadyRo's Queendom, where we nurture, cultivate, and we work on that inner queen to get her smiling and get her on her way to being super happy. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It seems like it's going slow. I don't like that. Anyway, please comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I see that we already have some people who have made it into the room. There will be passion and living for me. Remember, all views expressing us in this live, they're all alleged. They're all in my opinion, and they are all for entertainment purposes only. Fair use disclaimer. Some material used in this video is used under U.S. Copyright Fair Use Section 107 for purposes such as commentary, criticism, news reporting, and education. Anywho, Passion said, Lady 2, I'm going to just be number 1, even if I forget about to cook dinner, so should be ready. LOL, this is my RSVP. I love it. Thank you, Passion. Living for Me said, good evening, LadyRo in chat. Please hit the like button, comment, share, and subscribe. Please do all of those things. Please. Good evening, Symmetry. Y'all, I'm sorry I'm late. Please forgive me. I was taking them last little bits of notes, and y'all know I like to have all the notes. I might miss some points, but I tried. Trust me, I tried. Let's get into it. The title of this episode, this is Real Housewives of Atlanta, season number 17, episode 12. The title of the episode was called The Glow Up Cost Child. This episode was a mess. Hey, Satin Baby Doll. It was a mess, baby. Anyway, the episode opens up and we see Cynthia going over to Angela's house, and Cynthia asked Angela what had she been doing since Drew's brunch, and then Cynthia told Angela that she had to fill her in on what Shamia had said, because her and Cynthia and Shamia met up on last episode. Remember, I didn't review episode number 11, but I did review number 12. She said they had met up, and so she wanted to fill Angela in on what had happened when they met up. You said I made it to episode 5 of The Polygamist while waiting on you. Oh, did you, girl? It's good, isn't it? It's good. Symmetry, I'm still on episode 1. Oh my God, live for me. We just gonna put you out the box if you can't catch up. Yeah, it's a good series. We're going to talk about it. So y'all gotta finish it. So Cynthia says, she has to catch her up on what her and Shamia talked about, because Shamia sure had a lot of smoke for Angela, is what Cynthia said, based off of the lunch that they actually did not have because they didn't eat. Cynthia then proceeds to tell Angela that Shamia mentioned her surrogacy issues. She mentioned that something was going on with her mother's health, and that all of that combined was stressing her out. Cynthia says she suggested to Shamia, and she that she go to therapy. She said, I suggested that she go to therapy, and Shamia told her she didn't have time for therapy. Angela said, you make time for therapy. And in her confessional, Angela said, this is the reason why she is the way she is. The bitch needs therapy. Okay, girl. Tell us how you really feel about it. Tell us how you really feel about it. Anyway, Angela then proceeds to explain what therapy has done for her. She said that in her confessional. Angela tells Cynthia that she wants to do something for her mother, like a celebration of life. And they started planning this. Cynthia tells her about the Bailey Bowl, and they decide to do a basketball game. Now, I'm going to tell you something. The description they were given did not seem like a celebration of life with these biddies, but okay, girl, you do what you got to do. They decide to make this a thing. They decide they would co-host it together, and Charles would be the referee. In the next scene, we see Portia arriving at her old home, which now belongs to, or her mother was living in, still belonged to Portia at that time. And her mother was living there, Miss Diane. And Pilar is in tow as they come through the door. Miss Diane is in the kitchen, looks like she's at the refrigerator, maybe getting some ice. And Portia told Pilar, they sat down on the sofa. She said, take your iPad, go upstairs, and I'll come up and play with you in a few minutes. And I'm going to tell you something. I love that. I love the fact that we don't let children sit amongst the adults as they have conversations. I can remember as a child sitting with my mom, and I'm the youngest. My mom's siblings were way older than she was. And I would go with my mom sometimes when she would go see her siblings that lived in our same state and area. And I can remember sitting among one of my aunties. I call her old auntie. She was an old mean auntie, honey. Just mean. And I can remember and this auntie, I think, was born in 1925. So that tells you how old. My auntie would be 101 if she was still living. And she would be like, I'm a kid. So I would go with my mom. I would sit on the sofa. And I can remember my auntie saying, get out of my mouth. And I'm thinking, was I looking in your mouth? Girl, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And you, get out of my mouth. Go in there and play in the other room. And so they would send me off into the den, especially we went to my aunt who lived around the corner. So I love the very fact that as an adult, I appreciate my parents sending me out of the room because, again, I tell people I thought I grew up with the Leave the Beaver life because I never heard my parents argue. So much and so I asked my mom, I was like, did you and daddy ever have arguments? She's like, girl, please. Yes, we'd have arguments. We just didn't argue in front of you guys. She said, sometimes we take a drive. Girl, we be fussing the whole time we're in the car. And I would think that is so crazy. She said, we go outside, take a walk down the street to have a conversation. We have an argument the whole time we walking. And I appreciate my parents and my aunts for making sure that our little ears stayed out of harm's way of hearing the adult conversations. Lynn for me says some adults don't need to sit up on adults, but I digress. Do you mean children? Okay. Said baby doll said my grandma said go in the room and don't be sitting around grown folks all the time. But my auntie had it bad. She was like, get out of my mouth. And I would be thinking I wouldn't be looking in her mouth, but that's just what she would say, get out of my mouth, as though I was staring in her mouth, getting the conversation. Child, but either way it goes, I appreciate that rearing because it taught me how to be an adult. Believe it or not, it did. I still remember those moments of not being allowed to sit in the room with the adults as they were having a conversation. Anyway, next week, we talk about Portia. So the Pilar goes upstairs, and believe it or not, Portia waited until Pilar got all the way upstairs. Then she turned back to Miss Diane and started talking. And she said, I see you've, been doing a lot of works. Not a lot of work. And Diane has been packing up the house because, because the house has sold. And Portia asked her, where's that big picture you had of yourself? And Diane said, you're just going to have to look at me. And then she poses. I thought that was so cute. Miss Diane is such a beautiful woman. Just gorgeous. And I see where Portia gets her looks from. She gets them from her mother. Her mother is Diana's just pretty. She's a pretty woman of whatever age she is. The Lord has allowed her to grow old gracefully, and she looks beautiful. Live for Me said, nope, I mean adults too. You're right. Said Baby Doll said, I still don't like kids all in my conversation. I'm old school. Me too. I don't. Go play. Go upstairs and play on your game is what I tell them if I'm having a conversation. I don't want kids sitting in the middle of my conversation because I think they need to be allowed to be children. Portia said that this was very bittersweet for her because this was the last time that she would be visiting her mother at this particular house. And Big Miss Diane let us know that within 2 weeks of them putting the house on the market, that Portia got an all cash offer on the house. And now I don't understand Portia's logic when it comes down to what she was saying about the selling of the house, but I'm gonna give it to y'all the way she gave it to us, because we're just gonna repeat it. Now, again, I put in my notes. Now, Portia's logic, I really don't understand, but here's what she said, and I quote: "When you are looking to move around assets, you sell a $2 million asset, make $1 million. Keep the $7 million asset and take out its equity. We are making smart business decisions." Now I want you to go back with me. So you have a home worth $2 million, you sell it, you owe $1 million on it, so you put $1 million in your pocket. You keep the $7 million asset, which is the house that Simon purchased, and then you remove the equity out of the house. Now we do know that Simon actually, what did he like? Put $3 million down on the house, whatever. So there is a good amount of equity in the house. But if you intend to keep the house, why would you remove equity out of the house? Seems like you would still be upside down. But child, maybe it's me that's confused, because I believe her goal is to get a loan so that she could keep the $7 million home. But I'm still trying to get this logic. So 1 million, then maybe the 4 million, and she could put it down for 7 million, giving her 3. It ain't making sense to me. But child, let me move on. Portia mentions that she went skating. She talks about her toenail being broken, and she tells her mom that she went skating. And she also tells her mom that she and Phaedra have proposed a international trip to the ladies to go to Scotland. Portia says she needs this trip to do its big one. And then she goes from there and talks about Dennis coming over and bringing her ring back. Miss Diane asked her, she said, how did that make you feel when you saw the ring? And Portia said, I was triggered. Portia then said that Dennis wanted her to choose right now. Now, I guess we must have missed some parts, and maybe they edited out some parts, because I didn't get that from what Dennis said in last week's episode. Not this past Sunday, but Sunday before, because Sunday would be this week. So actually last week's episode, I didn't get that from that. Maybe somebody else did. Tell me if you got that from the conversation. I thought he said, here, take the ring because I can't do nothing with it. That's what I thought he said. I'd never heard him say that he wanted to get back with Portia, but I could be wrong. I guess he wants her back. We didn't see that. Portia said that she can't choose him. She can't choose her. She can't choose anybody right now. Portia says she is busy choosing herself. She said it is very liberating to say that she is single and gently dating. Girl, when I say Portia be cracking me up, she be cracking me up. You said I still use pig Latin. Kids need to stay in a child's place. I agree with that, Sad Baby Doll. Next, we see Kelly. She goes to see a financial advisor named Johnny. Johnny was quite handsome. I thought Johnny looked really nice. He just looked good. I don't want nothing out of Atlanta. But anyway, moving forward, I want them period because I'm married. But Johnny was a handsome guy. Johnny called her by her married name, and Kelly asked him to call her Potter. You can call me Potter. Symmetry said he was waiting on the relationship with Simon to implode. He did say that, but did he say he wanted, like, let's get back together, let's get my family? I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again, because I was like, I didn't get that. But Maybe so, because I thought when he said, well, just take the ring because there's nothing I could do with it. I just didn't get that. But I'm going to go back through and I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to watch it with my good thinking and listening ears and see if there's something I missed. Because I don't know. You know, I heard DJ Richie Sky say the other day that the first time through when he watches Real Housewives of Atlanta, he gets one understanding. And then when he watches it again, he said things just stand out to him that he missed the first time. And I agree with that because I'm the same way. You said handsome, not aggressive. Definitely handsome. He was very handsome. Sergeant Charge, hello, good evening. He said all of that too. Yeah, so I did, but I didn't hear him say he wanted to get back with Portia. So maybe I just missed it. So Johnny again called Kelly by her married name, and she said, call me Potter. To me, I think Kelly was just a tad bit aggressive as well. Maybe I'm wrong, but she seemed to be kind of aggressive with Johnny. She seemed to be aggressive with Johnny. You said Portia is so confused. Confused, baby. Baby, when I'm telling you, when she was sitting at that table with Drew and she stood up, started talking about that chicken, I said, "Ooh, Portia thick. Portia is thick, baby. Yes, she is thickums." Anyway, Johnny acknowledged it and he corrects himself and calls her Miss Porter. Johnny then tells her that today they're going to be having a hard conversation and they're going to be talking about her budget. They're going to talk about her finances. He asked that he said, well, let's start. Let's begin with how much you bring in. And Kelly said her nana's Donna, I think is how you pronounce that, McDonough location brings in about $75,000 a month. She said Nana Sandy Springs is a struggling business and it brings in about 15,000, and that would be a high number. So more than likely it don't bring in nowhere near $15,000, right? Next, they talk about what Kelly's expenses are. And Johnny said, I'm in your business right now. So let's chitty chat and let's talk about it. He said, how much is your car note? She said, my Range Rover. And they pop a picture up of a Range Rover. She said, my car note is about $2,000 a month. Girl, you should have leased that Range Rover because I'm going to tell you right now, Range Rovers are some of the most crummiest cars you can buy. They're constantly needing work. You should have leased it and you could have got it a lot cheaper. But child, it's your money, not mine. Anyway, she said insurance for the car was $600. And I don't know if anybody heard Johnny, but he was like, wow. Johnny was like, wow, that's a lot of money for your car insurance. A lot of money for car insurance. Anyway, either that she got bad driving record or bad credit, one or the other. Beauty and makeup, including lashes, she said $2,500. Hair, $3,000. Shopping, her clothes, outfits, $8,500 a month. Now, my calculations put that somewhere around, I think, 17,000. But Johnny said that once he did calculations, he was at $22,200 a month that Kelly was spending on miscellaneous things. They even talked about well, let me hold on a second. Johnny then said he wanted to talk about what they could pull back on. He said, I see you have a housekeeper and you have a dog named Cha-Cha. And so she goes, oh, you want me to get rid of my dog? He said, no. I want you to look at how much you're spending on the dog. And baby, Messy Productions shows Cha-Cha in a pink wig at a price tag that said $500. $500. Then Johnny said, what is something else that you could cut back on? And Kelly then looks at him and says, you're aggressive. You're an aggressive man. He said, yeah, I've been told that. He said, but right now, that's okay. I'm not your friend. I am your accountant. Chad, when I tell you, Kelly has a misunderstanding of money. Her ex-husband must handle all the finances. She must have just spent, and he handled most of the finances. I'm going to tell you something too. In relationships, statistics say that normally fights occur because of one or two things. And the number one thing is what? Can anybody in the chat tell me what the number one reason why couples, husband and wives, fight? The number one reason. If you post it in here, I'm gonna shout you out tonight for real. You said Kelly is rich broke. Definitely. They filmed from August to November, the opening and closing of their Sandy Springs location within weeks of each other. Yes, the dog had on a $500 wig. Child, I'm gonna sell the dog for her because that's ridiculous. Why does she need a housekeeper for a townhouse that belongs to your friend? Exactly. Money, 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 money. Money, money, money. Y'all all got it right. The number one reason statistics say the husband and wives fight is money. It is normally financially related. And I will tell you this, if you have a husband that is the breadwinner, most of the time, the reason why the husband is angry is because the woman overspends. I'm just going to throw it out there, women. Don't be mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. And a lot of times when the woman takes care of the finances, she's angry with the husband because he spends money unnecessarily. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. Put it in the chat. We could talk about it. Anyway, next, K. Michelle is at the plastic surgeon's office, Nip and Tuck, Dr. Jones's office in Atlanta. Dr. Jones said that K. Michelle had recovered from her procedure nicely, and K. Michelle said she wanted to talk to the doctor about her next steps. Then in her confessional, she says that she is on her 15th ass. Okay, K. Michelle. All right, girl. Anyway, child, get yourself together. Anyway, K. Michelle wants to do, she said, like a lift, is what she told the doctor. I want to do like a lift. I'm going to tell you something. She's back in Atlanta. I think in Nashville, she probably had more of an opportunity to heal. But being in Atlanta where you have the big butts, the corn-fed people, the women with the big boobs, or the boobs that stand up because they go get the surgeries. And I've also heard that plastic surgery can be addictive. I don't know. I've never had any. But I'm sure that if you don't mind, going under the blade to get this and that done, you would still go back and do it. So I think that's where it is. K. Michelle said she's over the big butt, but she wants, she puts her hands down, a little nice, healthy, little shape is what she pretty much was saying. Dr. Jones said she should not go with implants because of the scarring, and over time she would end up with the same problem on her back end, which would be more sores and open, infected areas that they would have to deal with. He also told her that she had very little fat. He said, but science has advanced a little bit, and they now have a fat that you can take off the shelf. And that fat is called aloe clay, ALLOCLAY, aloe clay. It is human fat, and it can be used to enhance the body. They insert it into the derriere and make it a little bit rounder. And I said in my comments, K. Michelle seems to like surgery. Anyway, next we are back at Angela's house, and we see her and Amari, her daughter. And Amari asked Angela what was wrong. They sit down. And if you notice, I think Amari had a glass of red wine, and they were sitting on the sofa and they were just talking. Amari seems to like wine because we see that when they talk to the therapist, Amari also has another glass of wine. Hello, beautiful traveler. Good evening. Welcome in. Sergeant Charge is speaking to Living for Me. Amari, I'm sorry, and Angela said nothing. Then she mentions that she had spoken with Wendy, her therapist. And I think this is a segue from when Angela was talking with Cynthia. She talked about Shamia needing therapy. I think that was just a segue into bringing in a therapist for Angela later in this episode. So I think that was kind of like a segue. That's my personal opinion, but I do think so. Symmetry said K. Michelle needs to lay off the surgery. She needs to focus on healing and therapy, mentally and physically. Trust me. Both of them, Symmetry. Both of them. We see an insert of Wendy and Angela talking about Angela's younger children and them not knowing that their sister had married a woman. Angela tells Amari that Wendy says that it is Amari's story to tell, and it is not Angela's. It is Amari's story to tell, and her moment to decide when she wanted to tell her siblings, and it was not Angela's. And I think Angela has an issue with that, and that's unfortunate. hopefully she'll keep working through that with therapy, because her daughter is who she's going to be. Only God can change her, only she, if she wants to change. But child, you thinking that your daughter's doing something wrong, it's not going to change her. In fact, it's going to drive her closer to whatever you think she's doing wrong. So I think you should just lay off of it, Angela. Anyway, Angela says she feels like Amari wants to be an adult and a child. And Angela says she wants them to know, so that they won't be blindsided. And Angela says that Amari's partner has been coming around since Amari was about 17 years old. And I believe Amari's 23, or did it say 24? Because I didn't write down the age. And the younger siblings think the partner is Amari's best friend. And Angela says, but that isn't entirely true. So Angela, I believe, is wearing a weight that isn't actually hers. And I don't think she should be. I think she should just chill and relax and let the natural lifespan of life take its course. They trust Amari and they rely on her, is what Angela said, to be honest with them. We see Amari's foot shaking. She seems to have gotten nervous. And then Amari has a confessional, baby. She is dressed to the god. And I will say this, Amari looks so much like Angela. She's a really, really, really pretty girl. But I really feel like Amari is shamed. And I think that shame probably comes from her mom. And maybe she's afraid to tell her mom that she's shamed. And I think when she does try to tell Angela things, Angela's rebuttal makes her shut down. And I'm not saying that either one of them are right or either one of them are wrong. And I think they need the therapist to help them walk and navigate through this. And it may take a while. Not only that, they're also dealing with the grief of losing a grandmother or a mother. And that step and that walk through life is definitely going to take some time. Symmetry said, I agree with the therapist. Me too. I don't understand why they keeping it from the kids though, because it's not Angela's story to tell. It is actually Amari's. So Angela should just shut up and wait until Amari is ready to tell. She may never want to tell. We never stop wanting to be our mother's child, in my opinion. Symmetry, I agree. I agree. Both of us kind of understand that because our mothers are in the bosom of the Lord. But I agree with that sentiments. Exactly. Sergeant Sarge says she's spending stupid money. Oh, she must be talking about Kelly. I heard that she said that she came out to her mom when she was 14. I heard that too. And I really think that Angela has just had a hard time accepting that, whatever that looks like. But I think that if they continue with therapy and they do the work, they will be able to move past this. And I say this all the time. I am a component of therapy. I think therapy is great. I think anybody who needs it should exercise those rights and go see a therapist. You could do online therapy. You could do telemedicine, all of that. Do it if you feel like you need to. Production asked Amari if she was married to a man, would it be easier for her to tell her siblings? And she said, of course, because that is a norm. That is a norm in society. You see that every day. Maybe in a couple of years, I might tell them, is what Amari said. Amari said to Angela, let's just be open. Let's just open this thing up. And Angela says, she may hurt the kids, and that wasn't fair because they were not getting to the root of it at all. But I'm gonna tell you what I really believe about this scene with Angela and Amari. I don't think Angela really wanted to do it. I don't think she really wanted the world to know the vulnerability of her and her child's relationship, because she kept saying, this is not going the way I want it to go. And at that moment, my heart literally broke for her, because I really don't think that some things are for the public's consumption. And I hope you get what I'm saying. I really don't think that was really for the public's consumption. Angela again said, this isn't going the way I wanted this to go. And she starts shaking her head and she says, I don't really want to do this. I don't know if anybody heard that, but she said that. I don't think Angela wants to talk about this on camera, is what I put in my notes. Amari then tells Angela, do you want to know why I didn't tell you? And Angela responds with, It isn't about why you didn't tell me. And Angela then says, it's okay. It's okay. And then Amari said, I didn't want to tell you because you're impossible to talk to. And Angela was saying, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And I think that's because Angela realized that this is a very sensitive subject. This is in the society and the world we live in today. This is a very sensitive subject. You could say the wrong thing and you'd be labeled homophobic. And I really believe this is why Angela would say, I don't want to do this, especially because this is her daughter. This isn't a stranger. This isn't a cousin. This isn't a sister. This is someone that you carried for 9 months, gave birth to, and took care of until they became an adult. And if my memory serves me correctly, I believe Angela on last season, was still saying there was things she was doing for Amari. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do believe that what was going on. Angela said, I was with you every day. And Amari said, I had to hear about it. I had to hear about all the things you were going through. So what Amari was saying, you were with me, but I was listening to you. You wasn't listening to me, girlfriend. And then Angela says, I'm sorry, Amari says that you never see my point of view. This is a daughter crying out to a mom, saying, hey, are you listening? Please listen. Because I listen to you. I absorb all of your crap, but you're not absorbing anything that I'm trying to tell you. Angela then says, what is your point of view? And then she starts saying, Ma, I want to get married, and I don't want to tell you about it. And Ma, I want to be grown. All the while, we see the little brother, Avon, 11 years old, standing at the top of the stairs, ear hustling, listening to what they're saying. Angela continues with her, Ma, I want to be grown and be treated like a kid at the same time. I don't care if I stress you out by not including you, is what Angela is saying to her daughter. And Amari says, are you serious? I tried to come to you before, but not telling you about the marriage was because I didn't want to tell anybody about that. Again, I believe Amari is ashamed. I really do. I believe that she was probably raised to believe that it was wrong, and she is ashamed of her lifestyle. That is why she didn't want to tell anybody. She wanted to live out loud and live in secret. And I think Angela is taking it all the wrong way. Living for Me said, did I miss that? The son was listening at the top. Yes, he was listening at the top of the stairs. Yes, her grandmother, the aunt, lived in one of Angela's houses. That's exactly. I thought I was right about that. You said, well, look here. I caught a lot. Hey, Nettie. LOL. We have all ear hustled at that girl. What you talk about? I told y'all the story about listening to my mama have a conversation with my older sister that I still remember to this day. It was hilarious because my mama did not play. Baby, she thought she was going to smooth talk mama and ended up going and flying across the sofa. Yes, man, we have all ear hustled, and we have probably seen a little bit of something that we probably shouldn't have saw. Angela tells her daughter that she feels like Amari is entitled and spoiled. Amari says she takes care of herself. But we didn't hear her complaining last season about that card. Remember the card that she had to share with the grandma? And Angela had bought for her mother. But remember, Amari was complaining about it because she wanted to drive it or somebody, and then they were sharing a house. Maybe it was a big mess last year. And so I'm not sure how much of this is on Amari's part and Angela's part. Amari said, I pay my own bills. Angela said, so what do you call it? And Amari said, okay, I will be grown and I won't come around anymore. And I don't know why young people always want to jump. Well, it ain't just young people. There's a lot of people want to just jump to the extreme part. Oh, I won't come back. No one's saying that. What I'm saying is listen to me. I think you're spoiled. I think you're entitled. And we need to discuss how we're going to change that. Not, oh, I just won't come back anymore. You will never see me again until next week when I call you and ask you for $25 for gas. Child, moving on. Angela said, that's not what I'm saying. And Angela says she feels like they are not connecting and she feels like they need to bring Wendy in. And Amari stands up and she says, can I go? And she takes off down the hall and she seems to be very emotional. I really think, again, like I said, that right, peace out is what she said. I really believe that um Angela didn't want to have the discussion for fear of being labeled homophobic. I also believe that Amari is not wanting to have the discussion and not wanting to tell her siblings and held off on telling her mom because she's ashamed of her lifestyle. I think they both have a part to play in this. Both are listening to reply and not to understand. Oh my God, symmetry. Didn't we just have this discussion when I talked to you? Yes, people listen to reply and not to understand, or they lack understanding altogether. Is one or the other. Next, we see K Michelle and her team in the studio. We see her manager Nick Ross. Then we go to Phaedra and Willie Watkins at the funeral home. Phaedra says she is the mistress of the dead, and Willie Watkins was like, "Oh, okay." Then we see Pinky and her daughter, Deella. Deella is modeling for, is it Milan is the way you pronounce the clothing? And next we see Shamia and her mother at Shamia's home in her home salon getting her nails done. We're gonna talk about that part too. I think it's something that we really need to unpack in there. Nettie said, I feel like we're missing the part her grandmother played in her relationship. I think we are. But I also think that we have two people here who are not really listening to each other, right? I think that Angela actually has a lot of truth in what she's saying, but I also believe that Amara, is that how you pronounce her name? I just looked at it, I have to look at it to say it. Amari also has a big part to play in the demise of what Angela feels like is not going right. I think they both need to work on it. But I also believe with the help of the therapist, they will get it right. Sergeant Charge says a very sensitive subject, very sensitive. And I really believe that is why Angela kept saying, I don't want to talk about this. Because she said, I don't want to talk about this. Y'all hold on a second. Let me cut my ceiling fan on. I just got hot all of a sudden and I cut the fan off because I was cold. Anywho. Symmetry said, remember that the grandmother also didn't get along with Charles when she was introduced to us. Exactly. There was a lot to unpack in that family dynamics that we didn't unpack last season, and then grandmother passed away. So we won't get to unpack that. But I think there is a plethora. I think if we had an opportunity to see the grandmother, I believe we could see the reason why Amari feels shame, the reason why she's not willing to tell anybody about her lifestyle. Anywho, back at Shamia's house, they're in the home salon, and Shamia's getting her nails done. Her mom's sitting on the side of her, and production does a replay of the last big trip they took because Shamia was talking about they're getting ready to go to Scotland, and last season, where they go to Paris, I believe, and Shamia's clothes didn't make the trip. Her nail tech tells her, you better pack a backpack this time. And Shamia says she is going to layer up and wear all of her clothes on. And her nail tech says she is going to need all those layers to catch the blows. I'm going to say that again. Shamia says she's going to layer up and wear all of her clothes on. Her nail tech says she is going to need all of those layers to catch the blows. Now, we've been talking about Shamia. Shamia has a little tendency to talk a little too much. And I believe Shamia been running her mouth down there with the nail tech in the basement. I believe it. I believe they've been having their little conversations, and Shamia done told the nail tech the information. The nail tech probably told the neighbor probably told the mailman probably told the milkman probably told the man at the grocery store, and it's going on and on and on. That's how the game of telephone works. I don't know if anybody know that. That's how the game of telephone works, and I really believe Shamia got a little talking too much problem. And that's what got you in trouble with Portia. But you keep talking, girl. Keep running your mouth. That's what you do. Shamia tells her mother that Angela invited her to an event in honor of her mom. And Shamia says she don't want to go up there with no drama. You say, where's the sister? If I recall, they had some challenges in their relationship. The sister. You're talking about Angela's sister. They did. Because remember, it was the sister and the grandmother living in a house that Angela had purchased for them. And the daughter was supposed to live there as well. But the daughter was having issues with the grandma and the auntie, and then there was a car involved. I'm going to look it up and I'm going to bring that information to you. You said the consequences of having so many best friends. A to the man. That is the consequences because you talk too much. And then the information gets out here and people be wondering why is all the information out here. We're going to also probably unpack, if not tomorrow. I'm gonna say tomorrow. I won't have to do any notes to that one. I don't have to watch no big interview. But I want to unpack the interview that Shamia did with Angela Yee. I think it's worth unpacking. I think it's some things in there that we need to discuss. And I want to give my point of view. Anyway, next we're at Portia's estate. And Drew arrives. She has a bottle of champagne and she has some little cups with probably like cranberry and orange juice for mimosas, is what I'm thinking. But child, I don't know what that was because they took a shot of something and they said it was healthy, but Portia said it was nasty. Anyway, Drew takes a cheer and they do a cheers and they eat some lemon pepper wings. Drew asked Portia about her being banned from Nigeria because Simon had taken away his sponsorship. And Portia said, "Girl, I don't care nothing about that sponsorship." She said, "I could come and go out of the country whenever I want to." Portia said, and the next thing is, she said, "I don't care because every time he gets on the internet and talks about me, I start trending and Go Naked Hair goes crazy." Portia said one time he posted and she made $50,000 that day. This was the segue into Portia asking Drew if she wanted to do a wig line with Go Naked Hair. She said Cynthia's already doing a wig line or also doing a wig line. And Drew said, "What a difference a year makes." And I agree. Portia said that she wants to empower Drew, especially since she is going through her divorce. Drew told Portia that she has a new manager and she will have her reach out to her. And then the confessional, Drew said she really don't want to mix their business and their friendship, but she needs to make sure they do things the right way this time. And I totally agree with Drew. You don't want Portia screaming at her, "You crazy?" when you tell her, "Hey, I made a video for Go Naked Hair because I'm an ambassador." And child, when I say just doing too much, last year they was doing too much. So I understand Drew taking all the precautions that she needs to do to make sure that she protects herself. Nettie says Drew has been wearing those wigs and looking good. She has been looking gorgeous. She has, Nettie. Next, we see Kelly meeting up with a real estate agent named Tamika. They both have on white. They meet on the sidewalk. I thought Tamika was a beautiful girl. And believe it or not, this is one of the times that Kelly actually looked really nice. They meet up at a townhouse in downtown Alpharetta. She says it's in the Milton School District. We see them put on the bottom of the screen. This is a 3-bedroom, 5-bath house, 3,500 square feet with an elevator. When they get to the elevator and the lady goes, "What do you think this is?" She goes, "A bathroom." She says, "No, an elevator." And Kelly just starts screaming. Like, just ridiculously screaming. Kelly in her confessional says that Shamia has made sure that they were comfortable, but it was a temporary solution to her fix. However, it has been a great space, but it is time for her to move on. Total cost of that rental was $7,000 a month. That's $7,000 in rent. You still got utilities, which means water, lights, cable, and anything that you need to function a home. And I don't think Kelly takes any of those things into consideration. Kelly asked her real estate agent, not her financial advisor, not the guy, Johnny, who we just talked to, who told her, "I ain't your friend, I'm your accountant." She ain't gonna ask him. She asked her real estate agent if financially it was something that she thought she could do. Child, Kelly's budget for the rental is $4,000 a month. So you are already $3,000 in the hole. Your budget is you can find something very nice for $4,000. It don't even have to be a townhouse. I'm sure you could rent a house in Atlanta area, the metropolitan area of Atlanta, for $4,000 a month. I'm almost positive. It may not be Shamia's house. It may not be the house on top of the hill. It may not be over there where Portia lives, but I'm sure you can manage something for $4,000 a month. I'm sorry. Nettie said the elevator. Girl. The elevator almost took Kelly out. She was so excited about an elevator. Anyway, Tamika told Kelly that she is going to have to suffer for a while. She can't live like she's used to living. And Kelly says she wants to provide a lifestyle to her that her daughters are used to living. And Tamika reminded Kelly that the goal was for next year for Kelly to purchase a home. And Tamika said, with that being said, Kelly needs to find something not at budget, but under the budget so that she could put money back and save because Kelly needs to save money. Kelly asked if she could at least have a prayer closet and a pantry. And Tamika said, they can find her prayer closet and they can find her pantry. Child, why did y'all waste our time? Come here, Tamika and Kelly. Y'all just wasted our time showing us this bull swanky because you knew you couldn't afford it when you went through the front door. You should have looked at it from the driveway and was like, girl, I can't get in this. This is more than I can afford, and drove on off. I don't get it. Anyway, next we're at Angela's home, and we see Angela setting up her laptop, and she's having a video visit with her therapist, Wendy and Amari. Amari comes to the couch with a glass of white wine. Angela said that Amari's leaving to go home soon, and that Amari isn't someone that she's willing to just throw away. She needs her daughter. So they're going to go and do therapy, and they're going to do this therapy. And I appreciate that. I appreciate her saying, I want to do the work. I want to build this relationship because I don't want to lose my daughter. That's important. Wendy asked Angela, what did they expect to get from the visit today? And Angela says she wants to make sure she talks about the boundaries. She wants to make sure that she is heard and that she is here for Amari. And she wants Amari to feel included, but also build a life for herself and her not punish Angela for that. Now, we've heard all of the things that Angela wants, but we absolutely heard nothing that Amari wants. Symmetry said drinking while in a therapy session is wild. And did you see the look that Angela gave her? I was like, what in the world? What in the world? But this is the first time when she sat down and talked with Amari. Amari had a glass of red wine, and baby, she wasn't, taking sips. She was guzzling. So, child, let me move on from that conversation. I'm like, what in the world are they doing? Anyway, you said, but Angela was drinking. She was, Nettie. She had a glass of wine too. We saw her pick her. But see, I think Angela had hers to the side and she wasn't on camera when she was sipping out of that glass. But Amari was, baby, she's sitting right there in front of the camera, drinking that glass of wine. Sitting there right there drinking that glass of wine. But she did look crazy at her daughter, I think because she picked up the glass and drank it like right as the session was getting started. Amari said that she wasn't comfortable telling Angela. Why would she be comfortable telling her siblings, is what she said. And I'm not sure that she probably will tell her siblings anytime soon. Wendy asked Amari if that is what she wants. And Amari said that oftentimes when Angela establishes her boundaries, it makes her feel as though Angela doesn't need her. Amari said that she needs Angela now more than ever since the death of her grandmother. This is what you got to do in therapy. You got to unpack that baggage. You got to get down there and get all them folded drawers you got at the bottom and your bras. You got to pull that stuff out of that luggage and you got to get to the bottom and see, so you can see the surface. And I believe Amari said to Angela at the beginning of the episode, let's get to the root of this. Angela seems to not want to get to the root of it, but you got to dig deep and get down there, baby, and get that dirt out. And she said, I need my mama. I need my mama now more than ever. Granny's gone. So this is all I have left is my mama. And I don't think that Angela particularly heard that before. And I really believe that was something that needed to be said. Amari said that when her grandmother was alive, she used to help them navigate each other and their feelings. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I kind of feel like grandmama must have had a big hand in raising Amari because Amari, again, Angela had as a single woman, I believe. I don't think that she was married to Amari's daddy. You said true that, clear mind, exactly. She said, not having my grandmother here has proven to be difficult. And Angela said that that her mother being gone is playing a big part in her relationship with her daughter. She said the takeaway is that they're gonna be calling again in 2 weeks. I really believe that they got some groundbreaking things done in that session. Well, I don't think we got a chance to see the biggest part of it because I believe it got personal. That's my personal opinion. But I do believe that they got a chance to cultivate some of that ground and to get to some of the core. And believe it or not, therapy is not a one session thing. Even when you go to physical therapy, they'll say, we're going to do, you got approved for 8 sessions. We're going to do 2 sessions every week for the next 4 weeks. I think that's the way therapy also runs. We're going to do a session every week until we get to the bottom of this. And so the takeaway was they'll be calling Wendy back in 2 weeks. Live for Me says it could be that Angela feels she needs her mother as well, so they both on the same page. That's true, but there's a lot of symmetry. Just beat me to it. There's a lot of unresolved issues. There are a lot of things that they have not talked about that she probably leaned on grandmother more for, and Angela probably leaned on mama for, right? There's things that she probably told mama, and there's things that Amari probably told grandmother that just has not been taken to the both of them. And now that grandmother's gone, there's no one else to go to but to each other. I can't go to her, she can't, we all we got. And we got to figure this out. So I appreciated the therapy session. I think this was a great thing to do and a great thing to show, especially in the age that we live in where there are so many young people going no contact with their parents. This is an opportunity for us to see that therapy does work. And if you do the work, you can have a healthy relationship and actually get over some of those things that we carry from day to day. You said it seems like somebody didn't accept her coming out. I don't think she accepts it. I'm being very honest. I don't think she accepts it. I think she has an issue with her lifestyle, and that is the biggest reason why she won't tell her siblings. I believe that's why she didn't want to tell her mom. I just really think that she's ashamed, and there's a lot of people that are like that. Then why do you have that's the reason why we have DL men, because they're ashamed. Passion said, and that's the reason the little bro and sis are not in a need to know age. Too much info to process at their age. Probably didn't even know fractions, social studies, adult intimate relationships. Not yet. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. When I tell you, my mom and daddy, I think they kept me from uh, adult intimate relationships probably too long. Probably too long. So much and so when I got in high school, my first boyfriend said I was green. You sure are green. And I was proud to be green. My mom was keep protecting my innocence. Anyway, moving on. Next, it's time for the Bailey Bowl, and Fangie presents Maggie Madness. So I guess Angela's mother must have been named Maggie. For a minute, I want to go back and hit on Living for Me. You said it could be that Angela feels she needs her mother as well. And you know what? You're right. I didn't think about it that way. We always need our moms. We do. We always need our moms. And I believe grief is playing a big part of their relationship. I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think about that too. Live for Me, we can expound on that a little bit more. I do believe that grief is playing a big part in the very fact that the daughter and the mama are just not seeing eye to eye on a lot of situations. Next, it's time for the Bailey Bowl again. Bailey Bowl and Fangie presents Maggie Madness. We see Angela and Charles arrive. Cynthia arrives next with LaPrince. Angela brought former NBA players to play. Cynthia said that she just had her boyfriend and her glam team. Next, we see Pinky arrive with her team, and child, ooh, honey. Child, when I say she brought the big backs with her, she brought the big backs with her. Pinky said they were coming in heavy, honey. They was coming in heavy. You said, Nettie said, do you think grandmother was the glue? I do believe that. I do believe grandmother was the glue. And oh my God, I'm gonna tell you something. I think most families, big families, have someone in their family that is the glue, right? My mother, like I said, I'm the youngest of 8. My mom and dad retired and they moved to another state when they left the current state that I moved back to. I was born here, raised here, and I currently live in the same state I was born in. But my parents retired. I was the youngest kid, so I had to go with them because they had a oops baby as they were getting older in age. So they retired. I was with my parents. Um, my oldest sister is 18 years older than I am. So that particular sister, when my parents moved to Arkansas, became the mama. She became everybody's mama. Everybody respected her. She kept the family together. That particular sister passed away some years ago from breast cancer. And when she passed away, it felt like a part of our family chain was broken so severely that it couldn't be put back together. And I don't know if anybody's ever dealt with that. So much and so that we as a family did therapy as a group. We did a group therapy session because that's how much she meant to us as a family. So I think and this was not a grandma, this was just a big sister who took on the role of being like mama when mama moved to another state and wasn't there for those Sunday dinners. Because when we lived in the current state we lived in, my mother cooked Sunday dinners every Sunday. The siblings came over. We had dinner together on Sundays. My brother, who moved away from home when he was 18, soon out of high school, got a job, got married, and moved away, on his days off would come over and take a nap in our den. And I was like, don't you have a house? Yeah. I just come over to check the mail. But you're asleep. Go home. Go to your place. And I can remember doing that as a kid. He'd be like, "Oh, get out, leave me alone." To this day, he and I are probably the closest out of all of my siblings. I talk to him almost every day. But I can remember how close my siblings and we were with our mother and our dad. And then when my parents moved, my oldest sister took up that mantle because she stayed in our home when we moved to our other house and took care of the family. She made sure the Sunday dinners continued and everybody. So when she passed on, it was a big blow because she was the glue. We still had Sunday dinners. Even when I moved back to the state, my mother moved back to the state after the passing of my father, and that glue was gone because we still had our Sunday dinners we would do with her. We still had those gatherings. She would call us over and we would do this. My sister was a true leader. She was a boss, is what I always call her. She was bossy. I mean, she would say, "I want this done, and one of y'all better get it done." I mean, she would call. My mother had open heart surgery. My sister, when we were standing around the bed, although mother had me over as a responsible party at that time, and we're all standing around the bed. And when the doctor came in, he was like, "Do all of y'all belong to her?" And he looked at me and I said, "Yes, sir. You know, we're all her children and you could talk to all of us as a collective." And so he did. He stood around in the middle and looked around all of us and told us what had happened. After he walked out of the room, our mom, of course, was in ICU. And my oldest sister looked at each one of us and she said, "Whatever hours ICU is open, one of y'all better be in this room when she opened her eyes." Child, we started making play. I'll be here. I'll take the 10 to 11. I'll take the 1 to so and so. I'll be up here at this time. I'll be waiting in the waiting room. We got it done because my sister was bossy, but we respected her bossiness. So when that bossiness left the family, the glue was gone. And so I think that is what Angela and her daughter are experiencing. The glue that kind of kept them bound together is gone. And I'm not sure how old Angela was when she had Amari, but whatever that glue was that kept her and Amari bound together is gone. And now they are like wandering around aimlessly, not knowing what to do. I do love the fact that Amari was there with her mother. Amari's such a beautiful young lady there with her mother, and they were able to maybe unpack some of those things. And I pray to God that this situation for them works itself out because more than anything, Angela said, I need my daughter. And I felt that in my soul because we need our children. Anyway, I'm gonna say happy birthday to my baby girl. Today is my baby girl's birthday. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Congrats. Happy birthday, baby girl. When I tell you I love all my kids, but my baby, she was such a little angel. She was a good baby. She didn't do no, she wasn't no problem. Do you hear me? No problem. And today's her birthday. Anyway, moving right along. Pinky and her crew came in. There, yes, living for me. Happy birthday, remote control. um, Pinky came in with them heavy hitters, and Pinky said they covered in heavy. Charles said, "Did y'all come to play basketball, or y'all trying out for the Bears?" I thought that was a cute little scene. Thank you, Symmetry. I'm gonna definitely let her know that you guys said happy birthday to her. Kelly arrives in socks and stilettos. Phaedra arrives with her sons and her stepson, actually Apollo's oldest son. I think his name is Trey. And Shamia arrives with her. She had a good little team. Yeah, girl, Charles was a mess. A mess. Um, let's see. K Michelle arrives. I don't know who all was with K Michelle. And then Drew arrives with her team. Portia and Mike arrived together. Child, I don't know what they thought they was gonna do. Thank you, Nettie. I'm gonna make sure I tell her. Um, I don't know what Portia and Mike was gonna do, but Portia said they were gonna call up some people around in the hood to come over and play. Pinky's team was named Chatty Patty. Phaedra's team is named The Godfather. Kelly's team was named the Minion or Team Minion. K Michelle's team was named Blind Opposition. Shamia's team is named Sasquatch. Angela, I'm gonna tell you this: they didn't name a team for Portia. So I don't know what Portia's team was. Angela falls the first game. I mean, she, 1, 2, 3, down for the count. And in her confessional, she tells Charles that he didn't come and check on her. And Charles like, well, you got to be there like 30 seconds. And she said, I was there for more than 30 seconds. Anyway, that when I say the confessional with her and Charles was hilarious. I really love the fact that he's engaging. You said, now that was hilarious, Sasquatch. That was funny. Phaedra calls Kelly strawberry shortcake. And she says strawberry shortcake has on stilettos and socks. She said, like cosplay and prostitution. Girl, when she said that, I screamed. Phaedra is so crazy. You said it was go naked. Okay. I would say I didn't hear them call it out, so I didn't know what it was called. And child, when I say I enjoyed Charles, and the commentary for the game was hilarious. At the end of the game, Charles asked Angela for a kiss, and she said she didn't want to give him a kiss. And Charles told production, y'all remember this? And they told Angela, remember last year you was begging for a kiss. So anyway, Cynthia comes out and she tells the crew, she was like, tells the teams, we have food over, y'all go get your food. And then the ladies go over to talk in a corner. And Angela immediately starts in on Shamia. She asked her, where's Gerald? And I don't know what Shamia said about where Gerald was, because I don't even think Angela gave her an opportunity to answer. She confronted her about saying that she attacked her marriage. Angela reminds Shamia that she is the one who said that she set Charles up. And then production plays an old interview where Shamia is talking to this lady, and she says that she tells this lady that she felt like Angela and Drew had set Charles up. Baby, when I tell you, production is on it with these interviews. They really are. You said, I thought that was cute banner between Charles and Angela. Me too, Passion. I thought it was too cute. Angela then tells Shamia how she said she knew Charles was outside. Shamia then said that Angela said she was only with the Hawks and the Falcons because she was effing them. Angela said, so you never did? Angela said, well, who was he? Who is he? You got a name? And Shamia said, that was coming from our marriage. Shamia also said, Angela, you became relevant because your last name was Oakley. And your name was Oakley because you effed an NBA player. And Angela said, and married him. Shamia said, you effed him first. Phaedra said, that's usually how that works. And K. Michelle is just standing there absorbing all of this stuff, right? K. Michelle said in her confessional that in this moment, there are a lot of things to worry about other than Shamia. Kay said from her conversation with Angela, her mother was everything to her. And Shamia is going to twerk and be Shamia. Angela tells Portia that she will, because Portia chimes in, and Angela says, I will never mention your name regarding Shamia again. And Shamia says, hallelujah, hallelujah. And Portia said, y'all have way more issues besides me. Angela said, it started with you, Portia, in Nashville. Baby. It started with you in Nashville. And then Drew says, then Drew and Shamia started arguing, child. It seemed like everybody was getting on Shamia's ass. Shamia said she only left because Drew called her a lapdog. Portia said, now who lap she's sitting on? Phaedra said she is sick of her lap. Portia said, I am sick of my lap. And then Pinky asked Shamia, are you good? Now, when I say this whole ending to this episode went crazy, it was way out the box. Pinky says to Shamia, are you good? Are you good? And then she says, Shamia responds, well, yeah. And she said, are you and Kay good? Now that came out of nowhere, right? Shamia said, what's wrong with me and Kay? Pinky said, I felt a little energy, and I just wanted to make sure y'all was good. Then they play a scene from last week where Pinky said that they play a scene from last week where K. Michelle is talking about Shamia and Candy and the Candy Coated Click, honey. And so Pinky said, I just feel, a little disconnect. And K. Michelle is saying, I'm just taking it in. I'm just taking in this, what's going on. And in her confessionals, K. Michelle said, no, not you, Pinky, no beef, just vegan. K. Michelle said, I feel like in this moment, everybody wants to attack Shamia. If I'm not your friend, you should find out just from me. So she's really talking about Pinky. Now, when I say K. Michelle done bopped all of the people on this episode in the head, she has. In one way or another, she has bopped one of them over the head. She has. Phaedra speaks up and stops all of the drama. And she says, Angela, we had a great time. I hope you feel like we memorialize your mother in a positive way. Child, I was so glad Phaedra said something. In the confessional at the end, Shamia says, this was so fake and disingenuous. Why can't they right their wrongs and nip things in the bud and move forward? Why is it that when you address a problem with one person, now everybody wants to attach themselves to that problem and attack that person? Then she starts crying and she says, I don't even know what I did wrong. I get it. You don't want me to be a part of the friend group. I get it. It's hurtful and it makes me not want to be a part of the friend group. And then they go back to the ladies and Angela says, let's get on this plane and let's go to Scotland. And the show ended just like that. Let's get on this plane and let's go to Scotland. Y'all, I've been wanting to show this right here. Hold on. Portia. When I say these hoes is obsessed with Portia, child, they is obsessed with Portia. Even some of the bloggers is obsessed with Portia. Portia. And Portia done tried to stay out the way this season, but they still are obsessed with Portia. Anyway, Nettie said, have you seen what happened to Tigger? I did, child. Big Tigger. I thought at first it was a little fake and funny, but honey, now that the camera footage done come out, Big Tigger did it. Anyway, Phaedra, have a seat. Oh, Live for me done said it now. It's called bullying. Yes, I agree. Until Scotland, exactly right. You guys, I appreciate you guys coming down here to listen to me run my mouth and talk about this group, this episode, of Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is one of my favorite shows on TV. I love Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think this was a good episode. I believe it was a lot to unpack. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen in Scotland. So until next time, and I'm going to try to get my interview out on time next week. I'm not going to put it off, but I really enjoyed it. I hope to see more from Amari. I think because I have never known a child to have a confessional. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of Amari. You said, have a great night, everyone. Yes, please do. If no one told you today that they love you, I love you. And there ain't a thing you can do about it. Hope you guys have a great night. Help someone along the way. Make sure you say your prayers before you go to sleep and tell God thank you for allowing you to see another day's end. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Welcome. 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 Welcome.